Marcus Campbell, Director of Field Operations, St. Paul Saints Baseball. Started here actually in 2015 as an intern, and then left for a little while, worked for the Baltimore Orioles out of spring training. Had a assistant position here, a full-time position open up in 2017. Came back, and then a year later I took over as the Director of Field Ops, and then over the years, been here through the Indy ball and the transition into AAA baseball. So I've been here, 8 of 9 seasons now that this field has been here. So we had a winter event in winter of 2019 and 2020. It was already kind of on our radar. Just playability wise, we weren't quite happy with how things were playing. It was drying out a little too much in the summer. Spring and fall, it was a little too wet. So we wanted to do something to kind of fix or alleviate the problems that we had around games and not being able to play certain times of the year or when it was too wet. So we looked at doing some field saver stuff. At that time, we hadn't been using any other DuraEdge products, but I knew of DuraEdge and a lot of people that used the products, and heard a lot of good results from people that had used the field saver or renovation without having to do a complete start from scratch field renovation. So we had got some info about field saver. I did some soil testing on our infield just to see what we could alleviate, if anything. And it turns out that doing just that 1-inch or 2-inch cap on top could help us. So we went with the field saver, and then after that, everything else that gets tilled in is with the DuraEdge Pro right now, which is what we currently use. Cool. So one of the main issue was the depth of the infield. Our infield is actually installed at 7 inches or 8 inches of depth, which is way more than you need. I believe DuraEdge recommends 4 inches. And with the material that we had before that, it was almost impossible to push through any water. We did look at potentially renovating the whole infield in the winter of 2020. As we know, COVID started to come up, put a lot of people into financial hardship. And so that quickly got put off the table for us. So going into that, looking at a more budget-friendly renovation, we went with a field saver, looking to just alleviate the problems that we had on the top, which were fracking out in the summer, holding too much water when we were watering. So we had a lot of variance depending on weather and how much we were watering that day. So looking at just how can we make it more consistent for our players every day? And the field saver was our choice to do that. Maintenance has been better. We're not constantly maintaining certain areas. We've been able to water at a more consistent level throughout the summer. In Minnesota, we get weather extremes. We can get 40 below, or we can get 100 degrees with 90% humidity in July and August. So we have a lot of variables when it comes to the weather here. So having a product that can stand up to that, and then provide a little better maintenance practices for us, I should say. So it's definitely helped with that. At this level, players go up and down so much between AAA and the big leagues, especially with us being 10 miles from our parent club. As we became affiliated, my main goal was to try to have a lot of consistency between what is used here as far as materials and what's used at Target Field, even down to the color of the product that we use on top of our infield, which is the shale, which Larry uses a lot at Target Field. So having just that visual color contrast that the players would see up there, to me, it would make, if I was a player at that level, it would make me a little more comfortable seeing that and having the consistency between two ballparks that you see a lot. And that was a big choice for us to kind of make that more consistent. So egg lime is, it's great for this region. but it also gets very dusty in the summer. And you see a lot of guys struggle to keep the dust down. And when it gets dusty, it gets really fine on top. And then you get a lot of washouts or low spots. And adding a little more firmer material or something that's going to hold stuff in place a little better, like a Field Saver product. One, it's going to help keep your dust down because you don't have the fine particles on top. Two, it's going to help keep your low spots from getting too low. It's just going to help make the infield a little more stable. DuraEdge has definitely changed the game as far as materials go. It used to be you would just find a local source of clay or whatever you thought was suitable for your infield, and you would just, which is why we use a lot of egg lime up here. And you would just use whatever's in the area. And now having a engineered infield mix or other kinds of soils that you use on a field, it's really made things more consistent, and maintenance practices are, you can look at a sheet and be like, this is what you need to do. Whereas before everything was so unique to that region that you really had to focus on, everybody had their own way of doing things, which isn't wrong, but it's made things a little more consistent for us.